And you know what?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pearls of Wisdom. We have a very interesting topic today again, and meet here again Suchada and Navasit, so we can discuss about couples. So, come Suchada, ask your question.
Yes, it's about relationship. So, in a relationship of a couple or family, there would always be the weaker ones who always give in and suppress anger, and the stronger ones who always invade and try to control. They burst out in anger if they don't get what they want. Of course, that relationship is a reflection, but when we are in it, the weaker ones would automatically give in, and the stronger ones would automatically burst out. Why is this happen? And
Yeah,
how
well,
can we fine tune and balance the energy between these two extremes?
yeah. It has also something to do with our sick world, with our everything is in a not in balance, not in harmony. And of course, then families and couples are not in harmony either, because this is the smallest cell, we can say, in our society, in social behavior. And if that cell doesn't function, the whole cannot function. And one reason why it's not really that one person is weak and the other one is strong, but it's their talents are not acknowledged. So
That's
in our world, there are certain things that are labeled as good, and there are things labeled as, and this would be weak in that way. And these are many, many things that are actually related to the female polarity. Like, for example, in older times, a housewife was very much honored, because imagine how much she has to know. And even when I was young, we still had education for housewives, special education like cooking, like how to do the laundry. And then were courses for how to educate children. When you had it, when you were pregnant already, you went into different classes and gymnastic and breathing exercise and all kind of stuff. And that was taken seriously. Now a housewife is worth nothing. She doesn't have a salary. She is just like, already the way they address it. Like when you get married, you have before you have a name, right?
Mhm.
Like okay, let me use my name, like Katharina Bless. The moment when I get married, my husband's name was Albert Giger, so I was supposed to be Mrs. Albert Giger, and I lose my name. This is like losing your face. You're not you anymore. And this is kind of like the pushing down of a woman, first of all, under a man. Now, this is the first cause to have somebody being weaker, but when you look more closely, you can see very often the family is ruled by the woman, because this is her domain,
Mm.
even if she's worth less, and that gives a lot of anger, frustration, and this is usually because the woman is kind of pushed into the weaker position. Even if she's not weak, she is just different. And that's what you can see now with this whole gender confusion, that the role of male and female is completely um, destroyed. I don't know another word to say here, destroyed. Because also in older times, the role of the man was to provide for the family. The role of the man was to protect the family. And in this role, when both are You have incarnated as a man, you have incarnated as a woman, because on a soul level, you have already decided what experience you want to have in this lifetime. So if you go along with that, including your gender, your qualities, everything, what is, from the astrology chart, what is important, then we can make a life that works. And there must not be a weak and a strong one. That can be easily balanced because you do what is your job. I mean, if you have studied to be a butcher or a baker or a farmer, you're not going to go in a law office or medical doctor office and pretend to be a doctor or a lawyer. That wouldn't work. Then you would automatically be weak because you don't have the knowledge how to live up to that job. And this is exactly why today very many families and couples, they cannot work together anymore in harmony because they are not playing their role. They are not really following what they have chosen. And I don't say at all that a woman has just to be housewife. Not at all. I just use that as a sample. I mean, when again, let's look at the archetypes. You have 12 different archetypes, and there are certain archetypes that are very typical for motherhood, and other archetypes that are not. And already, let's look back. I think that just because you're a woman, you're supposed to be a housewife. Not at all. But now, in the last, I can see that from after the Second World War. First, at that time, they were still, that was still kind of a harmonious family in this way, that in general the husband was providing for the family, the mother took care of the children, and most of the time the mother, she did something else too. She was involved in other social activities or a lot of things that a woman did. And then more and more, also the technology came up. So you have a dishwasher machine, you have a laundry machine, you don't need that time anymore in the house, right? So women were more free to do other things. So a lot of women started to be more artistic, or they started to maybe bake, catering, and all kind of stuff like this, but they still did it from home. So for example, also what I did when I went into the flower essences and things like that, and I had one room in my house that people came, that I was working with them, so that I was still home. And when my kids were coming home from school, I was there. And then it became more and more that with all that, that was made by purpose. That was already, what is happening today is not a plan from yesterday. That was planned a very, very, very long time ahead. Because if you want that people all are deceived, you have to go slowly. 1-2 generations and they don't remember. When I would tell you about my childhood without internet, without mobile phone, without all that kind of stuff, this for a young person today is not even imaginable anymore. So with that change that happened in the last 80 years, the generation today has absolutely no access anymore to a more natural life as we had it. And this is the main imbalance, is if you are imbalanced, then always in that moment, one takes the lead, the other one steps down. And this gives the imbalance because you are not able to live what you want to live and what you feel is right for you.
I think because the role is mixed up, and the true meaning of the role, like the role of parents or the role of brothers or sister, is kind of lost its meaning, and
Yeah, I
everyone
would.
just try to be like a stronger one.
Yeah, and you know, everybody should be strong, and it doesn't matter. Everybody is strong if you allow them to live their talents, to be who they are strong. But we don't allow people anymore to be what they truly are. They are pressed into a role, into a profession because of the paycheck and not because they like to do that work, right?
Yes.
And you have to come and follow up, for example, in a family business, not because you want to do it, because as obligation as a son or a daughter.
Yes.
And of course that does not make you happy.
No.
And then you go in offense, and there are two ways how to do it: to go into the role of the victim or into the role of the perpetrator. So you become either the angry one that bursts out and that screams around and is punishing the others and suppressing the others. That is how the anger is expressing themselves. And the other one who go in the victim role automatically attracts the perpetrator because of the feeling of not being good enough, all that stuff. So the couples find each other in not just marriage, I'm not just talking marriage, but all kind of working together. Also like in a partnership, in business, whatever. And you always find that role play, that one is the one controlling. And then most of the time in bigger business, there are like the sheep, all the sheeple that obey. And you can see that in the whole world. Look how many people still run around with masks.
I think
Even
it's
if all of them don't like really to wear the mask and feel they cannot really breathe, but they still wear them, even if
yeah.
it's not mandatory anymore.
I think
I mean,
maybe the relationship of the stronger one and the weaker one is like the magnet, the ego
yes,
magnet.
yeah, because it's always the opposite attract each other, right?
Yeah.
So if you are a perpetrator, you automatically look for a victim. And if you're a victim, you automatically look for a perpetrator. That's it.
Okay. I
Mm.
see.
And of course, we cannot see that always just like this. So sometimes it's very subtle, even sometimes it's changing roles. And this one we have like in societies, like especially those societies who are still ruled in a very communistic, or also actually in kingdoms, when there is somebody way, 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 way ahead of all the others. If she or he is worth it or not, that's not the question. It's the role, it's the rules that they have made that are a long time standing. And this is what all is falling now.
I want to give an example. Like I just some couples, they would have like, you know, when they are individual, they are both strong, but when they are together, it seems like someone would have like more energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this one uh, cannot
Catch
be
up.
themselves, cannot be himself or herself. Why
Yeah.
why is that? Why is that
Well,
happening?
again, you can look in the astrology. First of all, very often we find today couples or even people working together that actually are not suited to really work together or be couples. Maybe they've been attracted at a time by sexuality, which can be a transit or you know, a progression of something that you come together and then you quickly marry, but this constellation is shifting. Like, for example, one person is moving into another element in their progression. So we suddenly have a complete different dynamic. And in a kind of higher elevated society, a couple in this way, like we have today, would not have to stay together. They could stay friends. That would be not like this very difficult situation that we have today, because today everything is not really attuned to our natural being, to our natural growth. Everything becomes artificial, and we see that with the whole situation going towards AI, the metaverse. Till you're here, actually just literally like in the movie Matrix, become a battery for those who eat your emotional energy. So they make you work physically, for example, so that you do all the work the controllers need you to do. And then if you do a good work, they give you, say, an hour every day in the metaverse where you can be the king and the queen yourself. And then in the rest of the time, they eat you up again. And once you are like older and move beyond what they want, you just become a useless eater and they kill you.
Let's go back to the relationship topic. So when they are like in the relationship of couples or family where they would perceive themselves as a weaker one or the stronger one, it seems like they cannot really talk or communicate to each other.
Right.
So what should we do? What would you recommend for us all to develop the communication skill to make it more harmony?
Well, there is not one recommendation. The only recommendation I can give you is that you find the strength and the power within yourself. Again, you mentioned also in the question that the partner is just your mirror. It is the opposite that is your mirror. So look at what is annoying, what is disturbing you, and then find out why and what it is within you that this still disturbs you. Because you cannot find that in the outside. You have to stand up, you have to find your strength in all ways, in a partnership, in a relationship, whatever it is, even also in work. And it doesn't matter really if it's work or a family partnership. It doesn't matter. It is you who are weak, and you compensate either with overreaction, or we can say underreaction, whatever you want to call it. Either you go in the position of the victim or the perpetrator. And you have to work on that. You have to see, okay, I cannot go into this, and I feel when I'm around this person or that boss or whatever, that I feel weak. Why? And then you look at the other person and see what is it, what you like or what you appreciate and what you hate on that person. And then you look what it is, why you cannot live up and stand opposite to that person, looking on the same level, why it's like this. And always it's the little things that annoy you in a partnership. And that's where we struggled most. And why? Why does it annoy you? Because you have anger inside of you that needs to get out. So the little things are the triggers that this anger can get out. And then is only the only thing is absolute honesty. And if you come to that point, especially in a relationship with couple, that you can talk to each other and say, look, this drives me crazy. when you do this or that. And then the partners can ask you, but why? Why does that, and why is that something that annoys you? And then you can, and then this is the start that you can talk about it if you manage to step out of being emotional.
Mm.
So it's
Mm.
like we have to communicate with ourselves first.
Yes,
So release our
absolutely.
anger, release
Yeah.
our emotion.
Yeah.
And okay, if we communicate with ourselves first, and then we dive down, we dig in, and we aware why this person trigger something in us, but we cannot communicate with that person. So what
Well,
should
then
we
you,
do?
well, then you have to think about it. Is that really your ideal partner? Or is it about time to move on?
What if it in the family? Sure.
Yeah, well, still, I have a mosquito bothering me. Even in the family, you know, a family generally is like this. When you are 14, then you're supposed to become adult. That's when a woman is usually become a woman, a man, and then you usually you go to learn something to sustain yourself. I don't think in this time anymore the situation that 40 30, 40, 50-year-old person is still with the parents and the parents still tell that person what to do is not healthy.
I see.
Maybe even if you have to work in a family business or whatever, but what the heck, move out, go and live your own life. You might go back and work, but that's it. You don't have to be there all the time, because most families don't work like that. Maybe you leave, like you go and you have your own family, your own life, and maybe when you're 50 or so and maybe your parents die, maybe you come back and you take over the role what your parents did before. But parents and child generally working together is not ideal,
Hmm. Hmm.
because you need the freedom and the opportunity to have your own life. And
Hmm.
you know, a mother will always be a mother. I know this from myself. And I always want the best for my child. But in fact, I do not have children anymore. These kids that I had, they are grown up, they have their own family, and I have nothing to say unless they ask. You have not the right to interfere with the freedom. Again, like when we live here on a planet of free will, then it's a free will for everybody.
Hmm.
And in that way is fair only if I am asked for advice, if I give advice, and I am not going in the family and say to my son and my daughter, but you have to do it like this and like that. Or as long as you live in my house, you do what I want to say. What I want is my house. And when you are 20, 30, 40 years old, you don't want a mother tell you that is her house. Then you want your own, right?
Hmm.
That keeps you weak, and very often it is the family matriarchat, the woman, that controls the family. Even maybe if the outside world thinks it's the man, but most often it's not. He's just a face outside, but inside the house generally the woman controls. And once we understand that and we see that, we, even if you are living maybe in the same compound but have your own house, but this is also very tricky. The best is if you have a life of your own, you can unfold, you can be creative, then you don't need to be angry, then you don't need to be a victim or a perpetrator, because you are happy with yourself and what you're doing. And again, the partner who is annoying you in whatever way is just a mirror of what you don't live.
It's a mirror of what you don't live.
Not really what people want to hear, right?
No.
Yeah, but that's how we learn. That's how we move on. That's how we grow. As long as we blame others and just play the game of like being angry or whatever, that's not going anywhere.
I think the most difficult thing is that it's always react in an automatically mode.
Yeah, but see, that's about consciousness level again. If you raise your consciousness level, you're more conscious, you don't react all the time. I mean, that's a thing of like, mind. You have to control your own mind, not let others control your mind. And the more you're aware, the more you're conscious, and the higher your consciousness level rise, the more you understand also what's happening around you, and you don't need anymore to blame others. And then you can take your power back, and you're not the victim anymore. And if you're not a victim, you do not attract any perpetrator. Then you live your life, and you live your strength. You are strong in what you do and who you are. Self-esteem. And the self-esteem, how that was crashed. You're not good enough, and this is not good enough, and that is not good enough. Very difficult. I know it's difficult, but that's the challenge we have. So my recommendation in a partnership is really to analyze as good as possible and try to talk. And if you cannot talk to the partner, then I think it's maybe really time to go. Because you're wasting time. You're wasting time of two people. You and your partner waste time, and you waste time for maybe another two people who are potential partner in the outside waiting for you, because your partnership in fact is fulfilled. You have learned as much as you can. You come to a point where you cannot go further together. Then you have to go your separate ways, and to be able to meet other people who can mirror you again in the right way, that you can become more close to who you are with every mirror of partnership. But that doesn't say that you just have to jump in another marriage, but have friends, or maybe live together with a partner, but don't fix that. Also this fixation today is really weird.
I see.
But what about some couples that their relationship is so smooth? Maybe it's like develop to like the companionship.
Generally, I would say that very often they have given up into their roles. I can see that often, that that's how it is. They give up, and there is one strong, one weak, and they just play their role, and they in a way come to an agreement and are satisfied with it. I have met very little, not many couples who really were honestly smooth and happy together. I have met people like that. And I really admired the way they were able to get along with all the difficulties they working through. And I can see that much more in older couples, or even when I was younger, than today in modern times. Because in modern times, who has the time to really sit down and talk to your partner? You're always busy with your mobile phones and your iPads and with the TV. That started already actually with my kids much stronger. When we were smaller, my father refused to buy a TV till we're out of school. which was a very good thing when I look back now. So yeah, they are couples, but I don't think honestly that there are so many. But they are now see that those who are shifted already and have found like a real partner, they can be very happy. Like this, when you really meet the soulmate. I'm not talking really about twin flames, like just two, but just like in your soul family. But this is usually these people usually meet when they are already mature a little bit. I have seen high school sweethearts who have stayed together their whole life and have worked through everything. And this is also like, this is already soul family, that you have the agreement, we come together and we help each other. But this already shows a very high consciousness level. And this is an old soul that has already been here many times and is not so chaotic and erratic like a lot of new souls that have come in. And now we experience again, especially in this time of the shift, that soulmates are finding each other. But you have to let go of the old relationship that is not harmonious anymore to be able to move into a relationship like that. Everything is changing now. And I think also the form of the relationships that we have in the moment will change. And then everybody can be more satisfied. And this is not just because you're a woman or you're a man, you have to become a mother or a father. Absolutely not. There are many, many other ways to live life. But now today I see this kind of, I don't want responsibility. I don't want children. And that's not really the way to go. That does not show a very high consciousness level. And when you are in a higher consciousness and we are moving into a higher consciousness, into what we can call that golden age, then you know exactly if there is a soul that wants to stay with you and wants to be a mother, father, that you are there. And then you know, and you agree to it, and you treat the child completely different. You know, the whole school system, all the what is in the moment is falling. That is brainwashed. That is just a brainwash into a way of living that is not natural. It is norm, but not natural. So all I can say, analyze as good as you can. Look at you, look at what it is, at what you miss, especially not the other one. What do you think? What do you feel? And then act accordingly. Whatever it takes, have the courage to step forward and do what you need to do.
Okay.
If you are just getting angry, you know, the next step is getting sick. Then the anger manifests in the physical body. If it's expressed or unexpressed anger, it doesn't matter. And you know, all the steps into illness. Because if you are not in harmony, your body will express it. At one point, your body will show.
I see.
Difficult discussion today, huh? I was
Yeah.
first wondering if I
Yes.
should go into that question or no.
It's deep.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, but I get
But
it.
it's good. Let's face also difficult questions. Look at it. Don't escape. And this is anyway this year, and I will later, maybe probably tomorrow, put out the reading. the moon reading for the Chinese New Year, the dark moon.
Mhm.
Because this is what's coming up next year. It's authenticity. If you're not authentic, you go down.
Mm.
That's coming up for this year.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you very much for this question. That gives maybe something to think about it. And for those who watch the video, thank you very much for watching our video. If you like it, please give us a thumbs up. And we'll talk again as soon we have questions again. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Thank you so much.